10 seconds later.
Fishhooks dropped in 2010, right in the middle of SpongeBob's teenage years. Which is fitting, really, because Fishhooks is all about teen fish. They live in a pet store aquarium, go to school, have crushes, cliques, and the existential horror of spending their whole life in a glass tank.
Of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of...
There's only one SpongeBob SquarePants, but that doesn't stop animation studios from trying to clone him.
No wrong
Sugar-high
about
coconuts to high-octane ducks,
There
these
are
shows have been accused of
shows
copying
that
SpongeBob.
they actually
Some
try to copy
copycats are
SpongeBob,
painfully obvious.
but
Others are subtle,
what happened
sneakier.
to them?
And here's the wild part.
When they
You've
tried
probably
on, like,
seen some of these
Full
shows
of
without
SpongeBob.
realizing
What
just how
happened
closely
to
they
them?
echo Bikini Bottom. We'll break down what made them similar, who created them,
Made them similar,
how people
same,
reacted, and whether
how
these
they
shows were
actually
simply inspired or straight up
inspire
stolen from
us
the Bikini
and
Bottom
boost their
blueprint.
ratings.
Because apparently, turning a yellow square and his bizarre crew of friends into a genre is a thing now. And
It
sometimes,
is,
the
but
results are
it's hard
just
to
plain
like do
ugly.
something like that.
There are some shows that will definitely surprise you, but for now, the most obvious one is Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island. Yes,
Hey, do
that's
y'all
the real
ever
title. A
heard
copycat
of
so blatant,
Coconut
it
Fred
might as well have
Island?
been wearing square pants.
I never,
The show aired in
never heard
2005,
him.
the golden
But
age of
I want to
SpongeBob,
know,
when
like,
kids
what made
everywhere
him
were
famous
quoting jellyfishing and
why
using
he
rainbow hands
disappeared.
to say imagination. Fred is a coconut.
I'm Fred.
Uh-huh.
Fred.
He lives on a tropical
Right.
island surrounded by talking fruit. Tropical fruit, to be exact. Fueled by what seems like a never-ending sugar rush and exists
Where's the
solely to
company
wreak cheerful
that made
chaos.
him
So basically,
disappear?
SpongeBob over the water. Let's be honest, Fred is SpongeBob. They're not even trying to hide it. And Fred isn't alone. The whole island is like a fruit-flavored parody of SpongeBob's inner circle. Fred's grumpy neighbor is a snail-slug hybrid who just wants peace and quiet.
Wait a minute. Now, I can see this part being a copycat. I see it. I can see it. Cause Scribber is just like that Angry Lemon. I can see the copyness. I can see.
Sound familiar? He's the show's Squidward. But here's the thing. Squidward's bitterness works
I
because we
that.
get
I
it.
feel that.
He's stuck between a sponge and a starfish. Sluggo? He's just angry. No clarinet, no nuance, just constant
Yeah,
yelling
angry.
and unfunny tantrums. The Bungaberry? That's Patrick, split in two and somehow made even
Oh
dumber.
wait, how the
Meanwhile,
Bungaberry
Green Rind is
Patrick?
the island's cranky authority figure, a watermelon who exists solely to be annoyed by Fred. He's the crab stand-in, minus the capitalism or catchphrases. But anywhere you look, there's always a resemblance to SpongeBob.
I guess you can say that.
Same slapstick humor, same musical strings, same surreal visual gag.
Yeah.
The only difference?
But what
Everything's fruit-flavored now.
made
Because
him
originality.
great?
And here's the kicker.
And
This
what made him
wasn't some
fall
low-budget
off
knockoff from a
and
forgotten corner of TV.
be
Coconut
away
Fred
from
was a full-on
existing.
Warner Brothers production. Big studio, big budget, big banana energy. Word on
A
the
great
street
part
is,
about
this
on
wasn't
y'all,
a quirky coincidence.
there might be
It was
shows that
intentional.
y'all probably
Warner Brothers wanted
might
their own SpongeBob
know
show,
or
so they took the
didn't
recipe
know
and substituted the
that
ingredients
actually copied
with fruit.
SpongeBob
Even Coconut Fred's
or
voice actor
did something
himself,
similar
Rob
to
Paulson,
SpongeBob.
admitted this fact in his podcast. But instead of creating a new formula, they Frankensteined a coconut with ADHD and hoped kids wouldn't notice. Spoiler alerts,
What?
kids noticed,
You
critics
put a
noticed,
coconut with
and the
ADHD
internet
and
definitely
thought kids
noticed.
wouldn't notice?
Coconut Fred got
What
roasted for
wrong
being a
with y'all?
shallow, soulless SpongeBob
Who does
clone.
something like that?
Reviews slammed it as annoying,
Who thought
try
about
hard,
doing
and
something
lacking
like that?
any real charm or wit. It was canceled after
can
just
see
13
how
episodes.
it could,
In
like,
cartoon years,
inspire and
that's
boost
like
them.
dying before the theme song even loops. This wasn't just inspired by SpongeBob, it was SpongeBob's evil fruit-flavored twin. Minus the clever writing, emotional heart, or world-building that made SpongeBob iconic.
Yeah.
What happened
SpongeBob,
with Coconut
who
Fred
he
isn't
is.
unique. When a cartoon hits massive success, like Rugrats, Adventure Time, or Rick and Morty, you'll often see a wave of imitators. Studios chase formulas and
So you're saying like if a cartoon show got so much fan base, so much love, right? You will see other cartoon trying to represent it, but trying to put their own twist in it. But when you look deep in it, you can see like where the copiness or copycat is.
Of ideas. They try to recreate a
Yep.
vibe rather than innovate a new one. But with Fred, the mimicry was so naked, so unashamed, that it became a case study in what not to do when crafting a successful animated series. Coconut Fred didn't ride SpongeBob's wave, it got completely wiped out by it. Hard.
Why?
Even now, nearly 2 decades
That's
later,
why-
Coconut Fred is remembered not for its characters or stories,
That's why a
but
lot
for
of
how
people
hard it
don't
flopped
even
trying to do
remember
something
the
it wasn't.
show.
But what if the
I
SpongeBob formula
even
wasn't
remember
copied
watching
so
the show at
blatantly?
all.
What if it
Hey,
was
y'all can
camouflage?
think
Hidden
that
behind glitter
people
graphics,
still
fishy
watch
high
it.
schoolers,
No.
and far
People
too many
barely
awkward
even
crushes?
watch the show
Fish
to this
Hooks is
day.
one of those.
Now,
On
Fish
the
Hooks
surface, it doesn't
is
look like a
definitely
clone,
an
but if you
icon
squint
show.
hard enough,
No
you'll see the
hand
sponge DNA
doubt.
bubbling
Icon
just
show on
beneath the
Thing
tin.
X. Icon.
Fish Hooks dropped in 2010, right in the middle of SpongeBob's teenage years. Which is fitting, really, because Fish Hooks is all about teen fish. They live in a pet store aquarium, go to school, have crushes, cliques, and the existential horror of spending their whole life in a glass tank. At first glance,
And the creepy part about it, their life is like us, but it involves around like how teens' life is, like how teens' life is, and how they develop the drama and life action. That visual,
it screams budget
to
bikini
me,
bottom.
that's why
Underwater setting,
can
hyperactive
tell I've
animation,
seen the show
characters
multiple
bouncing
times.
around like
The
they've
intro
chugged 6
definitely-
Red Bulls and
definitely,
skipped all their
will
therapy.
hook you.
Milo
Like,
is
the intro
essentially
definitely hook
SpongeBob's
you.
chaotic cousin. Same relentless optimism, same over-the-top goober energy. B, she's the confident, capable bestie, a little bit Sandy, a little bit every Disney Channel girl boss.
True.
Oscar?
You ain't wrong about
Anxious,
that.
awkward, kind of a Patrick Squidward sandwich with extra social anxiety sauce on top. Over the years, fans have pointed out that certain episodes of Fish Hooks feel a little too similar to SpongeBob episodes in terms of plot lines. The episode Milo's
They
Magic
did actually
Shake shares the same
disappear
concept
after
of
like 3
SpongeBob's To Love a
seasons.
Patty.
After 3
Both
seasons,
center
they
around a
did
character
disappear.
falling in love with a
And I
food
was mad
item,
about that.
keeping it close 24/7, later spiraling emotionally, and ending in disaster.
Yeah.
But while SpongeBob feels handcrafted, Fish Hooks feels like an internet fever dream. Characters are dropped
Right.
onto photoreal backgrounds like a Tumblr collage with commitment issues. 1 minute it's neon sparkles, the next it's a close-up of a googly-eyed filter fish. It's not a direct clone, but it's definitely from the same recipe. Family-sized chaos with a side of absurdity. Fish Hook was more of a Disney-style drama, just wetter and more pixelated. Episodes tackled themes like friendship, heartbreak, fitting in, and aquarium-specific crises like, what if I get bought by a child and removed from my friend group forever?
True.
Sounds kind of familiar. Anyway, it was existential dread in a fishbowl. Critics called it loud and messy, which is accurate. But apparently kids are loving it.
Yeah,
Some
I
even
guess,
begged
I
for
guess
it to
you
make a
can
comeback.
say it was loud messy.
It ran
I
for
guess
4
you can
seasons.
say something like that.
4, which means someone was tuning in long enough to memorize every fish's emotional backstory. Fish
I thought
Hooks
it
wasn't a straight
it was
ripoff,
four-
it was more of a weird watery
I thought it
side
was
quest.
3 seasons.
But the
I
next
guess
copy
it
of
probably was
SpongeBob,
4 seasons.
this one
I
came
guess.
from the very place that created him. You ever get that weird deja vu? Like that moment when a show looks like SpongeBob,
Hey.
sounds like
Hey, I need y'all guess. Guess just by just by this picture right here. Guess what he about to show y'all before I even play. Like I need y'all guess because if y'all don't know about this show, or y'all gotta watch it. Y'all definitely gotta rewatch it and come back to the show and tell me how good it is. Hold on. Stop. Did y'all forget to follow me on Instagram and subscribe?
Wait, whoa.
Can y'all follow me and subscribe at the same time? Y'all can, because it's hard to do. And let's see what really going on in this.
SpongeBob, but swears it has no idea what a pineapple under the sea even is.
Yeah,
Enter Bunsen is a Beast, launched by Nickelodeon in
yeah.
2017.
Bunsen the
Their
Beast.
pitch? What if we made a show about
it's
a
not
weird
bad.
looking guy
It
with a
wasn't
high-pitched
bad.
voice,
It wasn't bad.
boundless
They had a
optimism,
crossover
and an obsessive
too.
need to be everyone's friend?
The very
Sound
off
familiar? No,
And that
it's
was
not
like,
a SpongeBob reboot.
crazy.
It's Bunsen is a Beast. That's right, this wasn't some other studio chasing the sponge wave. This was Nickelodeon copying its own blueprint. Bunsen is not a sponge. He's
Where is the company?
Thing.
Where the
Fluffy,
company
blue
are y'all missing?
monster thing. And he's going to school with humans because... reasons. From the first frame, the style screams deja vu. It's SpongeBob's DNA spliced with the Danny Phantom art style. The movement is wild and exaggerated. He was loud, obnoxious, annoying to everyone around him. The jokes are mostly about bodily functions too, just like modern SpongeBob. It's giving you the vibe of SpongeBob when he hit puberty and refused to calm down. And then there's the duo dynamic. Bunsen and Mikey is basically SpongeBob and Patrick in a monster-themed remix. One's hyperactive, the other confused but loyal. Classic Chaos Core pairing. The only difference is that instead of jellyfish and fry cook life, it's all about monster rights. Yeah, we're tackling social inclusion with Bunsen. At its core, the show was about acceptance. The message is loud and clear. Monsters deserve to be treated like everyone else. That message is often delivered through burp contests and
everybody that monster are just like everyone else. Not all monsters are...
And here's the weird part. It wasn't some fluke.
Not all monsters
This came directly from the
source.
Not
all monsters are mean.
Same studio, same resource, even some of the same musical DNA. Composer Guy Moon, a Nickelodeon regular, built the show's wild audio landscape. Also, it came almost 20 years after SpongeBob had already cemented its legacy.
That's insane!
Making it, especially in-house, was a risky move. Unfortunately, Bunsen didn't catch on. Ratings flopped, kids weren't into it, adults didn't even know it existed. Nickelodeon quietly pulled the plug after just one season. One and done, like as soon as you forgot happened. But those stories are nothing compared to the next copy of SpongeBob. Because now, we're entering
and then
pure
fall off
meme
after
madness.
one season, then you know
Nothing
that
screams
show is
SpongeBob
not
energy
it.
like two
If it
ducks
only
in a
had one
rocket
season.
van screaming about bread.
Bro,
Yep,
classic.
this actually
Red
aired
Winners
on
are
television.
classic.
It's called Bread
Like,
Winners,
you
a show that
can't
feels like
not
SpongeBob
say
wandered
Bread
into a
Winners
YouTube
not
poop
a
and never
fan
found
favorite
the
show.
exit.
Classic.
Bread Winners is about two
I'll
ducks, Sway Sway and
watch
Badooz,
this every
who
Saturday.
deliver
Like,
bread
every
to other
Saturday,
ducks
I
and a
definitely watch it every
rocket-powered
Saturday.
van.
Like,
No
yeah,
deeper
it was a
meaning,
brand new
no
show,
secret lore,
but
just
every
ducks,
Saturday it was
bread,
like,
chaos.
bro, I need to watch this. It's just like SpongeBob, where
It started as a YouTube show. Nickelodeon picked it up and said, yes, this is the future of children's entertainment. Then they gave it a time slot and let the chaos unfold.
You can't judge
Hyper pair of
SpongeBob.
best friends,
SpongeBob is a classic
one smartish,
show.
one
And you
dumbish,
can't like
shouting,
erase SpongeBob
constant,
on Nickelodeon.
random slapstick,
Rushmore or something
overflowing.
like that.
It's SpongeBob times ADHD with a dubstep remix. Badooz is basically Patrick if he grew up on Vine. Sway Sway, SpongeBob with main character syndrome and zero fear of carbs.
Yeah,
Bread started life as a passion project. Literally, it was created by
like
Gary
SpongeBob,
Doodles de Raphael and Steve Forrest, who picked it straight from YouTube.
Together,
and for a second, it worked.
But not the
vibe
downside,
was
you
pure
know
early
that
2010s
character.
energy.
But you see a character
choppy,
showing more the
obsessed
dumb
with lots of fart jokes
side
and EDM cuts.
in the
Think of it as
stupidness where
SpongeBob meets
SpongeBob got
Smosh
get
with
out of
random
trouble,
equals
saying
funny
that
Tumblr
passion.
humor. Critics were not impressed. Parents
Wait, what?
hated it. Reviewers called it immature, obnoxious, and a migraining
How the migraine? Damn, there's no way y'all call migraine cartoon. Y'all the reason why it even got the way it is. Y'all the reason why it boosts up ratings the way it was. Y'all made it the way it is. Why a lot of fans love it.
cartoon form, especially the fart jokes. But kids, some of them loved it. It had just enough meme juice and bread-fueled chaos to carve out a tiny cult
See, I
following.
told you.
Still,
like,
by season 2, the novelty wore off. The van ran out of
even the
gas, and the
kids
show was
started liking
quietly
it.
shelved like
If
expired salad.
a cartoon show
But here's the thing,
is so
unlike
good that
Coconut
even
Fred
the
or Fish
kids
Hooks,
started
this
liking
wasn't
it,
studio
you
mimicry.
can
This
tell
was
why
pure
it
internet brain. This was SpongeBob reimagined through the lens of shitpost culture.
But there's
It wasn't a
reason why
ripoff.
it falls
It was a
off.
glitch in the SpongeBob Matrix. A neon-feathered fever dream that somehow got greenlit. As you can see now, other studios wanting to copy the success of SpongeBob aren't exactly rare things. But what happens when the studio that made SpongeBob decides to copy
Y'all
itself.
can't.
Let's set the scene. It's 2021. SpongeBob has officially lived longer than most people's attention spans, and Nickelodeon
not wrong
still
about
wants
that.
more. But instead of making something new, they're like, hey, what if we turned SpongeBob into a baby and gave Patrick a talk show for children? Welcome to the SpongeBob.
For one, I don't get why y'all have Patrick make on his own show. On Patrick episodes when it was all just about Patrick. I was confused why y'all gave him his own show. But I think y'all just trying to make SpongeBob better. So to have like Patrick having your own type of episodes on the show, it like y'all can see a different side of Patrick. Instead, Patrick always with SpongeBob on his episode.
SpongeBob Expanded Universe, a franchise extension that literally no one asked for. Say hello to Camp Coral and The Patrick Star Show.
The crazy part
Two
about
spin-offs
Camp Coral
that somehow feel like
happened
knockoffs,
before
despite being made by the same
SpongeBob.
studio.
But
Camp
the crazy
Coral
part
feels
about
like
Camp
AI-generated
Coral happened
SpongeBob, filtered through
like
corporate synergy
later,
and a mountain of
way
screaming
later
quotas.
after
Camp
SpongeBob
Coral
ever,
put SpongeBob as a child in a CGI wilderness
grew up.
camp.
Like,
And the
I
moment it
hate when
swaps
shows
classic
do
2D
that.
animation for
Like,
lifeless
even Monster
CGI,
Inc. did the
it
same
kills
thing. Like,
everything
they
the
did
original nailed,
when
especially
Mike
the
and
iconic
Stalky
squash and
been grown
stretch
up,
physical
already
comedy.
working at their
Then
job.
there's the Patrick
And then
Star
they want to
Show,
go and
which
make it
takes
when they
Patrick,
by
everyone's
try
favorite
come
loyal
up
idiot,
and
turns
get
him into
to
a
where they
chaotic
need to be in the
late-night
grid.
host
Like,
in a
why
surreal
y'all
fever
put
dream.
them in
It
color
ditches
first?
character consistency,
Why y'all
timeline
do
logic,
color
and
first?
any emotional
And
grounding
then
in favor of
them going to
absurdist
a job.
skits, nonsense
Like with
pacing, and
SpongeBob,
joke
they made
delivery so
SpongeBob
forced
going
it
try
feels
to
like a
get
Twitter
job
meme
do a
account
whole
come to
episode,
life.
and then
The
they
energy
made
is random
SpongeBob
equals
and
funny,
Cam
but without
as
the
a little
structure
kid
SpongeBob always
growing
had
up
behind
and
its
seeing the
chaos.
real like
Patrick in
why.
the original show was dumb, but he was dumb with purpose. Now he's just
True.
dumb with airtime. But it's still SpongeBob. How could you call it a copy? Here's where it gets complicated. The
What?
real twist isn't just that these shows exist, it's who made them. Not Steven Hillenburg or the original creative team. These were assembled after Hillenburg's passing, developed by new hands, shaped in boardrooms, and
Damn. You tell me they would develop after the passing? Shit. But it like people all gonna think that it's a copycat. People gonna think they just probably fade into existence because the copycat and still SpongeBob. But you gotta really pay attention what he's trying to say.
crafted with corporate intent. And that matters. A lot.
It
Because
actually
Hillenburg
do matter.
famously, publicly, and passionately opposed spin-offs. He didn't want a SpongeBob cinematic universe. He wanted SpongeBob to stand on his own. A weird,
Yep.
self-contained pineapple full of magic. So when these shows popped up on Paramount Plus, it didn't feel like a tribute. Some of it didn't even feel like SpongeBob. Also important, these weren't just shows, they were strategic IP plays designed to fuel subscriptions, boost watch hours, and squeeze every last drop out of the sponge. More content equals more eyeballs equals
That's
more
why y'all
cha-ching.
trying do with Nickelodeon. Y'all try
And
like
what about the fans?
what y'all
Let's just
trying
say
to do
they
is literally like whatever is popping on Nickelodeon. Like let's say something really big like SpongeBob on Nickelodeon or on Cartoon Network or on Disney, right? Y'all can try to go and find what is the top cartoon or show on each of those three platforms. Then y'all can try to copy each one, but switch them up to make it seem like y'all not copying it, but y'all still copying most of it. Crazy.
did not hold back.
That's crazy. What
Camp
y'all
Coral got
doing.
dragged for being lifeless. Critics were lukewarm
It
at
got-
best,
dang.
mostly meh.
That's why it's
Meanwhile,
falling
Patrick
off.
Star
It-
Show,
it-
despite
it got
getting hit for
dragged
being
and-
confusing,
and
unfunny,
dragged
and
for
way too
what
weird,
it is.
some people
Dang.
actually liked it, especially the second half of the season.
I
In the end,
like
these
it,
shows aren't just
but I
rip-offs,
don't
they're
like
ghost
the
echoes,
Patrick Star
shadows
Show.
of the
I
thing
don't
they were
like
trying to honor.
but
They don't expand
I can
SpongeBob's
see why
world,
people
they stretch
like
it
it.
thin. And in doing so, they dilute the very magic that made the
Uh-huh.
original unforgettable. So, what's the deal here? Why are so
Yeah.
many shows from indie creators to major studios,
What's the deal?
even Nickelodeon
Like, why
itself,
so many
trying to
shows
recreate
falling
SpongeBob?
off
only to
for
flop harder than a
copying
fish on land.
SpongeBob. And
Turns
like,
out,
the
SpongeBob
shows
is
that are
deceptively
copying
easy to
SpongeBob
copy on the surface,
be the
but
ones
almost
that are falling
impossible to
off.
clone at the
And the
core.
shows that are not
The
copying
formula
be
looks
the ones
easy.
that
Bright
unstained.
colors, dumb
Or
sidekick,
they just
slapstick chaos,
be
and
lack
weird
of
faces.
fans and
Boom!
end up
Kids love
leaving.
it, right?
But still be
Wrong.
remembered
What makes
regardless
SpongeBob work
of
isn't just the
what they
gags,
are.
it's the soul. The wholesome chaos, the characters' chemistry, the
The
weirdly
characters that
sincere
live
optimism
the
buried
memo
under all the
or
absurdity.
deliver.
SpongeBob isn't just random, he's purposefully random. It's chaos with a
Yeah.
compass, and that's what everyone misses. You take SpongeBob out of Bikini Bottom and toss him into a bread van, a fish tank, a CGI summer camp, or a monster high school, and it crumbles. Because most copycats only replicate the recipe, not the ingredients. They crank the
Dang.
volume.
So they only go for the recipe, but not the ingredients to make the recipe. Smart. I get what is SpongeBob really is copying.
But miss the heart. Trying to copy SpongeBob
Yep.
isn't just hard, it's nearly impossible. Every copycat we covered, they either chased the chaos without the core, or tried to clone the charm and ended up with glitchy weirdness.
And they
Coconut
still
Fred
don't
straight
get
up
the, like,
copying
the
it and got toasted.
recipe.
Fish
so
Hook
without
swam
the
in the
recipe,
same lane, but stayed in its own
what made
tank.
SpongeBob what
Bunsen
it is,
had the energy,
then
but
it's
none
gonna
of the
be
depth.
different.
Breadwinners
Because
brought the
if y'all don't
memes,
get the
but
recipe
not the
of
meaning.
it, then
And Camp
it's gonna
Coral, it's like
veer
Spongehand
off
to SpongeBob.
to
In the end,
just
the truth is
weirdness.
simple. There's only one SpongeBob SquarePants.
I really actually found out that most shows did copy. Even the shows that are my favorite shows were the ones that copied them. Dang, that's crazy to find out why they copy. But the only difference I know about is when you don't get the recipe of SpongeBob and only got the formula of what made SpongeBob iconic, then you only gonna get the weirdness of each show. Because without that recipe, the formula is not gonna be it. Like you probably will have to formula the ingredients and stuff, but when you don't got how to put them together, then you just leaving off. So like, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, and click one of these videos right here.